20 acres of flat North Texas pasture, a 6,000 square foot ranch house built with natural stone and timber beams, a full indoor riding arena with a steel frame roof and groomed dirt floor, and a man who pulls in $60 million a year without ever touching a basketball again. Most people know Shaquille O'Neal as the most dominant center in NBA history. They remember the backboards he shattered, the 4 championship rings, and the smile that sold $1 billion worth of products. But what most people do not realize is that Shaq quietly became one of the smartest real estate investors in professional sports. And his Texas ranch is the proof. This is not a celebrity vacation home. This is not some Instagram backdrop designed to generate likes. This is a working property with horses, pastures, and an equestrian arena that stretches longer than most people's entire neighborhood. It sits on enough land to fit 15 football fields with room to spare. And it was chosen for one very specific reason: control. Because when you are 7'1", 325 pounds, and worth $500 million, the last thing you want is a neighbor who can see your kitchen from their porch. But to understand why this ranch matters, you have to understand the man who built it. And that story starts long before the mansions, the millions, and the endorsement deals. Shaquille Rashawn O'Neal was born in Newark, New Jersey in 1972 into chaos. His biological father was caught in a cycle of addiction and incarceration, a ghost who vanished before the story even got started. That kind of instability destroys futures before they begin. But Shaq's mother, Lucille, made a decision that changed everything. She married Philip Harrison, a United States Army sergeant who ran his household with military precision. Zero tolerance for excuses, zero patience for laziness, and an absolute obsession with discipline, respect, and structure. The family moved constantly. Germany, Texas, military bases scattered across the map. But that constant motion gave Shaq something most kids in his situation never receive: a foundation and a sense of order that would later translate into boardrooms, business deals, and billion-dollar negotiations. Harrison didn't just raise Shaq, he programmed him. He installed a work ethic so deep that it became reflexive. And decades later, when Shaq was negotiating multi-million-dollar franchise deals or reviewing investment portfolios, that military discipline was still running underneath every decision like an operating system that never shuts off. Basketball found him the way it finds most oversized kids. He was simply the biggest person in every room he entered. But at Robert G. Cole High School in San Antonio, coaches realized he wasn't just tall. He was coordinated, explosive, and improving at a terrifying rate. By his senior year, he had delivered a state championship, and every major college program in the country was circling. Louisiana State University is where raw potential became genuine dominance. He dismantled the college game so thoroughly that by 1992, he was the #1 overall pick in the NBA draft, selected by the Orlando Magic. The league did not give him a grace period. It threw him into the fire immediately, and he responded by bending steel rims with dunks so violent that the NBA had to reinforce backboards across every arena in the country. Instant superstar status, millions of dollars flowing in before he could legally rent a car. But success brought frustration too. Playoff losses stung, injuries accumulated, tension with Orlando's front office kept building until something had to give. And in 1996, after winning an Olympic gold medal in Atlanta, Shaq made the move that would define the next decade of his career. He signed with the Los Angeles Lakers for $121 million over 7 years. In 90s money, that figure was absolutely staggering. And the pressure that came with it was suffocating. Winning was not enough. He had to dominate, he had to deliver championships, he had to become a legend. Between 2000 and 2002, that is exactly what happened. 3 consecutive championships alongside Kobe Bryant, a legacy cemented in granite. By the time he retired in 2011, after stops in Miami, Phoenix, Cleveland, and Boston, Shaquille O'Neal had earned over $292 million in NBA salary alone. His rookie contract with Orlando paid him $3 million. By his peak season with the Miami Heat in 2004, He was pulling in nearly $28 million a year, the highest single-season salary of his entire career. Stack another $200 million on top from endorsement deals with Reebok, Pepsi, Icy Hot, Buick, and Carnival Cruise Line, and you are looking at a man who generated nearly $800 million before he ever thought about a second career. But here is where the story separates Shaq from 90% of professional athletes. Most of them treat retirement like a slow fade. The checks stop. The phone stops ringing. The lifestyle starts shrinking. Financial advisors start having uncomfortable conversations. Shaq did the exact opposite. He expanded. Today, Shaquille O'Neal earns approximately $60 million every single year. Not from basketball, but from television, endorsements, and a business portfolio that reads like the index of a Fortune 500 directory. He's a permanent analyst on Inside the NBA, one of the most watched sports programs on television. He still fronts national advertising campaigns. His face, his voice, his personality keep generating revenue, whether he is on camera or sitting on his porch in Texas, watching the sun go down. And he got into Google early. Let that sink in. A single investment decision made years ago could by itself fund a family dynasty for generations. That is not the move of a man who got lucky. That is the move of a man who listens to the right people and has the discipline to act when the opportunity presents itself. But the franchise empire is where the real cash flow lives. Papa John's locations, Five Guys restaurants, Krispy Kreme franchises, 24-hour fitness gyms, Auntie Anne's pretzel shops. These are not portfolio decorations sitting in some brokerage account collecting dust. They are active revenue machines, generating an estimated $20 to $30 million per year in steady, predictable income. If endorsements dry up tomorrow, the franchise money keeps rolling. If television contracts expire, the investment returns do not blink. If the economy hiccups, fast food is actually one of the sectors that holds steady because people always need to eat. Shaq built a financial architecture that does not depend on any single income source. It is resilient, diversified, and designed to outlast him by generations. He once said that he studied how other athletes went broke and made a list of every mistake they made so he could do the exact opposite. That list became a blueprint, and that blueprint built a $500 million empire that keeps compounding even while he sleeps. And all of that wealth needed a home base, somewhere quiet, somewhere private, somewhere built to his exact specifications. That is where the Texas ranch enters the picture. The decision to plant roots in Texas was not emotional, it was surgical. This state has become a magnet for athletes, entrepreneurs, and high net worth individuals for one devastating reason. There is no state income tax. Zero. When you are pulling in $60 million annually, that difference is catastrophic. California would have taken 13% right off the top before you could finish your morning coffee. Texas takes nothing. We are talking about millions of dollars staying in his pocket every single year, compounding quietly into generational wealth that most people cannot even conceptualize. But the financial logic was only half the equation. Shaq wanted space. Genuine space. After decades of sold-out arenas, suffocating press rooms, and cities where privacy is a myth, he craved land. Not a gated community where your neighbor's pool party rattles your bedroom windows. Not a high-rise condo where the concierge knows your daily schedule better than your assistant does. He wanted acreage. Open sky. Grass that stretches to the horizon without interruption. The kind of quiet that can't be manufactured by soundproofing or security gates. The kind that only comes from distance. And that is exactly what he found. The ranch sprawls across roughly 20 acres of flat North Texas pasture. Now, compared to the mega ranches that stretch across thousands of acres in the state, 20 might sound modest. But for a personal residence, that is serious territory. 15 football fields worth of land where you can run horses, host massive gatherings, build whatever structures your imagination demands, and still have space left over to simply exist without anyone watching. The main house is approximately 6,000 square feet, large by any normal standard, but if you compare it to his 31,000 square foot Florida mansion, the Texas property almost feels restrained. And that restraint is entirely intentional. This ranch was not built to impress dinner guests or generate magazine covers. It was built for living, for breathing, for waking up in the morning and seeing nothing through your window except land that belongs to you. The architecture commits fully to the Texas ranch aesthetic. Natural stone walls anchor the structure. Low roof lines keep the profile humble against the landscape. Timber accents appear everywhere, giving the interior a warmth that steel and glass could never replicate. Nothing about this house reaches skyward trying to make a statement. Instead, the entire structure spreads outward, hugging the terrain like it grew there naturally. You approach through a gated entrance, then travel down a long, private driveway that cuts through open grass and clean fencing. By the time the house comes into view, you have already left the outside world behind completely. That distance is deliberate. It creates a psychological privacy buffer between Shaq's private world and everything beyond those gates. By the time you park and step out of your vehicle, the noise of civilization has been replaced by wind, birdsong, and the occasional sound of horses moving across the pasture. That transition is the entire point. Step inside and the atmosphere shifts immediately. High ceilings supported by exposed wooden beams create a sense of openness and light without tipping into excess. Wide plank hardwood floors stretch through the main living areas, grounding every room with warmth and texture. At the center of the home, a full-height stone fireplace anchors the space, not because it is screaming for attention, but because it pulls the entire room together with a quiet confidence that mirrors the man who owns it. The living area feels composed and comfortable. Furniture is arranged for actual conversation, not for photo shoots. You can picture slow afternoons here, reading, watching games, existing without the pressure to perform for anyone. This is a room designed for a man who spent 3 decades being stared at by millions and finally built a place where no one is watching. The kitchen carries that same understated energy. A massive stone island serves as the command center, flanked by professional-grade appliances and custom cabinetry in soft, neutral tones. This is not a showpiece designed for content creators. This is a working kitchen. Family meals, slow weekend mornings, maybe Shaq flipping pancakes for his kids when they visit, which, knowing his personality, is absolutely happening. And those oversized windows frame pasture views from nearly every angle. That is not accidental. Even when you are indoors, the land stays visible. The entire design philosophy revolves around connection to space. Physical space, mental space, and the kind of breathing room that decades of fame made impossible. The primary suite sits separated from the rest of the house, designed purely for privacy and recovery. Vaulted ceilings, thick wood beams, glass doors open onto views of nothing but sky and grass. The bathroom is finished in natural stone with a walk-in shower and a soaking tub that feels more like a personal retreat than a functional fixture. Every decision in this room prioritizes daily comfort over spectacle. And when you are 7'1", comfort is not a luxury. It is an engineering challenge. The doorways throughout this property are built taller than standard. The furniture is scaled to his frame. The shower heads are mounted higher. Every single detail was considered through the lens of a man who has spent his entire life bumping his head on a world built for smaller people. Other rooms follow the same philosophy. A private office is lined with wood shelving for focused work and quiet business calls. A leisure room is anchored by a billiards table for low-key entertainment with his inner circle. Natural materials, durability, and openness define every corner of this property. There's nothing here that feels temporary or trendy. Every material was chosen to age well, to get better with time instead of worse, which, when you think about it, is exactly how Shaq has managed his own career. But the outdoor setup is where the ranch truly reveals its identity. A covered rear terrace with a full outdoor kitchen and stone fireplace extends the living space directly into open air. You can cook outside, eat outside, and sit under the stars without a single camera flash in sight. The outdoor kitchen is not decorative. It is equipped for real cooking with stone countertops, a built-in grill, and seating for a crowd. This is where Shaq hosts the people he actually trusts, not industry contacts or business partners trying to pitch him on the next investment. The tight circle he has maintained for decades, the friends who knew him before the money, before the fame, before anyone outside of Newark had ever heard the name O'Neill. Beyond that terrace, fenced pastures roll outward toward the horizon like they might never stop. And then there's the crown jewel, a covered indoor riding arena with a steel frame roof and a groomed dirt floor. Shaq owns horses. In Texas, if you own horses, you build proper infrastructure for them. This arena is not a novelty or a conversation piece for guests. It is a functional equestrian facility built to professional standards. That confirms what the entire property communicates. This is a legitimate working ranch with real infrastructure, not a celebrity set piece designed for weekend photo ops. Now, if the Texas ranch represents the calm, grounded, reflective side of Shaquille O'Neal, his Florida mansion represents the exact opposite. Tucked inside the private Isleworth community near Orlando, sitting directly on Lake Butler, is a 31,000 square foot fortress mansion that redefines excess. The entrance alone recalibrates your sense of scale. A dramatic two-story foyer with curved twin staircases, intricate ironwork, and ceilings that tower overhead like a European cathedral. The main living areas flood with natural light through massive glass panels that open directly onto the lake. The interior design stays deliberately neutral and refined, holding back on flash so that the water views outside become the undisputed star of every room. A two-story living room anchored by a marble fireplace manages to feel both monumental and somehow intimate at the same time. Deeper inside, a fully soundproofed private theater with tiered seating and professional-grade acoustics turns movie night into a premiere event. This is not a room with an oversized television mounted on the wall. This is a legitimate screening room where watching a film becomes an experience you do not forget. A game room and full bar connect to a 1,400 square foot cigar lounge. Let that number register. 1,400 square feet dedicated entirely to cigars, conversation, and the kind of late night sessions that stretch into early morning. That single room is larger than most apartments in Manhattan, and it is just one room inside a house that has dozens of them. There's a full-size indoor basketball court built to NBA specifications, because retirement does not mean the competitive fire dies. Shaq might have hung up the jersey, but basketball lives in his DNA. The court is not collecting dust. He uses it for pickup games with friends, training sessions with his kids, staying connected to the sport that built his entire empire. Then there's an aquarium room inspired by ancient Egyptian motifs that feels more like walking into an art installation than a functional space. Water, light, symbolic design, all merging into something surreal and theatrical. It exists purely because Shaq thought it would be incredible. And when you are sitting on $500 million, you can build whatever magnificent thing pops into your imagination. But the real crown jewel, the thing that makes this Florida property absolutely legendary, is the pool complex, named Shaq-apulco, because of course it is. The pool stretches 95 feet, winding through natural stone formations, custom-built waterfalls, and tropical landscaping that makes you feel like you have been teleported to a luxury resort in Bali. A lakeside tiki pavilion, a private dock, a small beach with direct access to the Isleworth chain of lakes. Every outdoor element connects you to water, breeze, and endless Florida sunshine. The Florida estate is loud, bold, and completely unapologetic. The Texas ranch is calm, grounded, and deeply intentional. Shaq owns both because he contains both. The reflective man who craves silence and the larger-than-life personality who named a pool complex after himself. Most people pick one version of themselves to invest in. Shaq built entire properties around each one. And then there's the garage. Because when you are 7'1", most cars simply don't fit. So Shaq doesn't buy vehicles off the lot, he rebuilds them from the ground up. A Hummer H2 that makes total sense for his frame. Massive, bold, squared off with enough interior volume that his knees don't slam into the dashboard every time he sits down. A well-maintained version like his typically runs between $30,000 and $50,000 depending on condition and modifications. A Lamborghini Gallardo that was completely reconfigured around his body because the original cabin was engineered for someone a full foot shorter. Seats pushed back, roof raised, interior gutted and rebuilt. The result is a custom Italian supercar that probably shouldn't exist, but absolutely does. Customized versions like his sit between $120,000 and $180,000. A Mercedes Sprinter converted into a rolling luxury apartment for family road trips and long hauls with his crew. Spacious, comfortable, and completely private. Depending on configuration, a Sprinter like his lands between $80,000 and $150,000. A Polaris Slingshot, stretched and modified for open-air cruises through warm neighborhoods, raw, immediate, and entirely different from everything else in the collection. Customized models run between $40,000 and $60,000. A Tesla Cybertruck that speaks to his curiosity about what's coming next in automotive design. The sharp geometry and stainless steel body caught his eye immediately. Inside, the cabin feels open and tech-forward with everything controlled through touchscreens. Modified Cybertruck similar to his hover around $100,000 or more. Every vehicle serves a specific purpose. Every modification reflects his personality. And every decision prioritizes comfort, space, and freedom over following whatever trend the internet is chasing this week. This isn't a car collection built to impress strangers. It's a garage assembled by a man who knows exactly what he needs and refuses to settle for anything that doesn't fit. Literally, at 52 years old, Shaq's daily life has settled into something most people wouldn't expect from the man who once shattered backboards for a living. Mornings start early with light workouts and recovery sessions. Fitness isn't about competition anymore, it's about longevity. At his size, keeping his body mobile and healthy is a daily discipline he treats as non-negotiable. The joints take a beating when you carry that much weight for that many years. Recovery isn't optional, it's survival. He stays deeply connected to his 6 children, showing up for the moments that matter and maintaining daily communication even when work pulls him across the country. Fatherhood isn't a side project for Shaq, it's the center of everything. Colleagues who work with him on set describe a man who checks his phone between takes, not for business updates, but for messages from his kids. That priority system tells you more about who he really is than any mansion ever could. He moves between his properties in Florida, Texas, and the West Coast, choosing comfort and privacy over spectacle. He leans into simpler pleasures these days: music, casual DJ sessions under the name DJ Diesel, where he plays massive electronic sets at festivals with a grin that looks identical to the one he wore after winning championships. Evenings watching games at home, mentoring young athletes and entrepreneurs privately, offering real guidance without turning it into a press conference or a social media moment. The Texas ranch, the Florida mansion, the franchise empire, the car collection, they are all pieces of a larger story about a man who turned early hardship into discipline, dominance into legacy, and fame into something genuinely sustainable. He built a financial empire that doesn't need him to keep proving anything. It simply exists, generating wealth and opportunity while he focuses on what actually matters: family, health, presence, and the rare luxury of waking up every morning with the ability to choose exactly how you spend your time. That freedom, the power to define your own days, to build something that outlasts the highlights and the championship parades, to shift from chasing success to quietly living inside it on your own terms, that might be Shaquille O'Neal's greatest achievement. Bigger than any ring, bigger than any mansion, bigger than any arena he ever shook to its foundation. Which part of Shaq's empire impressed you the most? Was it the quiet discipline of the Texas ranch, or the sheer audacity of the Florida fortress? Let us know in the comments below. And if you want to keep seeing deep dives into the real wealth behind the biggest names in Black excellence, subscribe to Black Status, and hit that like button. We will see you in the next one.